Right everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to look at how to create this particular dashboard, right on your screen using Microsoft Power BI. In the previous video, we did load this particular data and have it transformed and wrote some couple of decks that would actually help us to create what we really want to actually create today. Okay, this particular dashboard has two versions, which is the Excel version and the Power BI version. So here is the Microsoft Excel version of the dashboard. You have just seen the Power BI version. So you can actually take a look at how we got this created. I'm going to be providing the link of this very video, under the description box for you guys, in case you want to actually learn how to actually get this created. It's something very simple that anyone can actually create. So we have almost the same functionality with what we have inside Power BI and as well inside Microsoft Excel. Happy learning. See you in the class. Let us move this particular one right here to the top end here. So now you can go to view and choose how you want to view this. Let's just bring this one down. This is cool. So under view, you can choose how you want it to look like. So you can decide to use fit to width, or you can decide to use actual page. So all I need to use is actually this particular fit to page right here. That is what I normally use. So over here, I'm just going to keep this one and bring this one here. So we have to bring this one and this one should follow. So we're going to pick and move it, and here we go. This is the arrangement. So we have calls reached, deal closed, and the deals values, right? Okay, the next thing right now is to create a chart that can actually help us to compare these particular numbers of calls and how many of them have been reached on a monthly basis, yearly basis, quarterly basis, weekly basis, and based on the week type. And we want to make it some kind of, very easy for the end users to be able to interact with it, right? So I'm going to get those ones off for now. Let them go. So here we go. This is what we have. So what am I going to do? Let's quickly go over to insert. From insert, we can insert this particular stacked column chart right here. So with the stacked column chart, I'm going to actually go ahead and make it fill here for the time being. Let's quickly go over here and click over to this particular table view and click on our calendar. So here is our calendar here. We have all the columns that supports it. In case you have not some kind of created this, here is the code I've actually used for this particular calendar right here. Go ahead and copy it and make sure you have exactly what I have right here. I believe you are coming from the first part of the video. You must have done this. Okay, now that we have this here now, let's open up the calendar. So what should come first is our year, followed by the month, the quarter, and we want to have the week, day, and the week type. Those are all the columns we want to have right in here. But unfortunately, this is how it looks. We have to arrange it. Make sure we bring everything onto the x-axis right here. So we're going to move this one into here. Move this very one here. Let us scroll down and bring the last one from this particular small multiple here. We don't want that to happen. So we actually shift it and keep it somewhere around here. So this one is giving me mean. I want to go over here now and decide to tell it, what does this mean? Oh, we don't want to keep this mean. I don't know how we brought it in here. So we have to remove it. So what we need is this here. Move it here. Our month should be here already. So it doesn't really matter how we arrange it because we're going to use something very dynamic for it. So once we have all of this, now we need some couple of measures. So let me show you how this would work before I show you how to make it much more dynamic. So let's say we want to see the total calls, right? Go to calls. So we want to see how many of those calls were reached. All we need to do is to come over here and pick this. So if we want to see how many of those calls converted into deals, we have to actually drag it in as well, and it will be too much information. So for that, we have to make sense with how we show this. Even this one right here is not in any way making any sense. It's not making sense at all. So we have to learn how to drill up and down before we can make sense with what we have right here right now, using this here to go to the next level. So instead of us to be using this to go to the next level, why don't we actually use a bookmark to get this done? That will actually give us more user experience than what we have right now, because lots of people might not know about this except you teach them how to do it. So let's do it. The next thing we have to do is to go all the way to this particular modeling and go over to new parameter, then fields parameter. So inside the field parameters, we are going to do switch measures. Then over here, we want to go ahead and select some couple of DAX we want to use. Let's say we want to use the call or total call. Let's go with total calls. So we just scroll down. Here we go. We have it. Now, how many of those calls were reached? We want to go ahead and pick total calls reached. And again, how many of them have deals that were closed? So we want to go ahead and take it up. So if you want to actually add the deals value, you can do that, but I'm going to stop it right here. So for now, to keep it short, remove total from this one. It will still be readable. Then remove total from this particular one. But for this one, I'm going to leave it the way it is, right? So just go ahead and click on create. All right, we have those here. Right away, they will not do anything. If we click on them, nothing will happen. Can you see it right now? So before we do anything or we actually make it work, we have to integrate it with what we have right in here. So let's scroll down and remove this one, and now we click on this and go to this particular switch measures here. Switch measures, and we click on this, and here we go. So right away, what we are seeing now is the call reached. So if I hold my, if I click on total calls and I hold my control key, I can see this. This will give us the calls that were reached. So to see the values, we have to go all the way to this part here, and let's go to scroll down, data label, open it up, and scroll the way down till you see the values here. And you scroll down a little bit, you can now find where it says auto and keep this on none. This is what we have, right? So make sure you have proper formats for everything. So here we do not have proper formatting for our call reached. So we want to go over here and click on call reached and have comma separator for it. Then that will give you exactly what you're looking for. All right, we have this. The next thing we want to do right now is that we don't want to actually leave the end users to actually play around with this. They might not really understand how this works. So what we need to do, we have to actually create a bookmark that will be able to actually make it much more dynamic and user friendly. So make sure you open up this particular plus here if you have it. So scroll down and make sure the bookmark here is checked and the selection here is checked. So here, do we need the selection? We do not need selection, so we just need a bookmark alone, only a bookmark. So right away, what can we see? We are seeing the weekdays right here, Sunday down to Saturday down to Sunday. Okay, what do we do in this case? Just make sure this one is clicked on, select it, and go over to add here and double click to rename this to weekday. Once you've done that, just go ahead and update it. That is all you need to do. Let's go down. And now we have the year. Click on this, double click, and Ctrl A. We have the year. We update. So let's go again. Now we have the week type, right? So we type in here. So week type. We update. And we do this again. Now we have the quarter. We can add again. So we can do QTR for quarter. We update. And finally, we have the month. So if I add the bookmark again, here we do the month. So if we just go ahead and update, and let's step into here, it shows quarter, it shows week type, it shows year, it shows weekday right here. Please do me a favor to actually hit the like button in case you're still watching, and subscribe if you have not done that. You can share to your friends and family that might need this. So let's continue from here. So we have gotten this right now. What are we going to do with this? We have to actually create what I call slicer to help us to get this done without using this particular part right here. So what we need to do is to go to insert, and from insert we click on this particular button. We scroll down here, we have page navigator and we have bookmark navigator. We select a bookmark. So with our bookmark, if you look at it right now, we have all of this right here. So what happens if I actually hold my control key, because I'm on a desktop? If I'm on Power BI service, I don't need to hold my control key to do that. So here we go. Can you see it? Can you see now? This is what it is. This looks more user-friendly than the previous one we used to do from here. This is exactly what you need. So right now we can clean this particular chart up by going to here. Let's have this one hidden. So let's go to the y-axis and turn off the title plus the values. Once done, we step back up. We go to x-axis right here. So we have to go down. And for the legend, sorry, for the title, we turn the title off. And we go back up. And for the value here, we can crack the value up a little bit so that it could show up what we want. Later, after all, we can adjust this, no problem. So if we go back up now, we can now see that we have legend here. So the position of our legend is now cool, and the legend title should be gone. So let's go ahead and turn off the title. So once we have the title turned off, we can actually position it in the middle, or in the center rather. So in the center, so we want to go back up again and make sure the title is positioned in the center, just like the legend, just like this. Can you see now? This is what we have. So we can actually, make this right here. So right now, so I can bring this below it, below here. For the time being, don't worry, we're going to arrange this later after all, but for now let us just have something like this right here. Okay, we have this. The next thing I'm going to do right now is to make sure I move this and keep it somewhere around here. So we need to actually create a table, and that table would house all the measures that we have that are very important for the end users to actually see, all of that. So let's go over to this particular part and insert a table. So with this particular table here, I can stretch it and I can do this. So take for example, let's say you want to actually add the total cost, because we don't have total cost right here. What do we do? Let me take you over to here and show you what is behind this. We have the switch measure here. This is the switch measure. If I want to have total deals values now, all I need is to actually copy this, Ctrl C, and Shift Enter, Ctrl V to paste this one. Then what I'm going to have here is the deals values. So why are we seeing this this underline that's giving us an error? That was because there was no comma right here. So now it's gone. So we have gotten the deals value right here. So all I need to do now is to change the measure. This is our measure part here, to what? Total deals values in here. And instead of me having 2 and 2 here, I'm going to have 3 here. And if I hit my enter, can you see how you can actually update what you have here? That would actually add it up to this particular part. Then when we go back now, so we should see it. Can you see it now? This is what we have here. It's as easy as that. Okay, let us focus on this one. Over here, what we're going to do is to go over here, and we want to go over to where it says datasets, and we go for our full name. So from the full name, we can actually click on the DAX measures. So using the DAX measures, we want to actually bring the total calls for the first time. Then the calls reached. And we need to actually bring in the dropped calls, so which we don't really have right away. And for total calls, we have decimal numbers, which is 00. We don't want that, so we have to go ahead and have it edited. So let's go for total calls. So click on it right here, and let's go and put 0 over here. So now we have to create a measure, and that measure will be subtracting our total calls from the total calls reached. Yes, so let's do it. So I can have it done anywhere right here. So new measure. So here it's going to be dropped calls equals. So the next thing now is to do total calls. So we subtract the total calls reached. Here is it. If I hit my enter, this will definitely create my dropped calls for me, and I just have to turn this into 0. All right, so if we have this now, we can bring this in here. That is all we want. So here we have it. So after this now, we need to actually have the deal closed right in here. So here we have the deals closed. And finally, we want to have the deals value right here. So we have the deals value here. So this is all we need to have right here. And now we are almost done. So the next thing is for we to actually create the background we're going to use for this and start getting things, maintained, and make sure we have a very popped out color that would actually make our dashboard stand out. Don't forget to actually subscribe, like, and share to your friends and family that might need this. So let's go ahead and select everything at the top right here. So once you have them selected, let's go quickly to this. And let's click on the call values, scroll down, let's put it as 25. This is cool. So when I have this at, this is cool. We want to have this at 25, and this looks perfect. Okay, this is okay. We want to have it at 25. So here we go. Now on this particular one here, what we're going to do to it is just for we to make sure we click on it, and let's go over here and check the newer slicer. So here we have the new slicer here. We want to convert it to this new slicer, right? So if you look at it right now, it's not looking good at all. So what I'm going to do is to stretch it like this, and let's go over to the layout. So not the layout, let's go with column. Should we go with column, or we should go with rows? So let's go with single rows. So that single rows is 4. We actually put it on 4, and everything shows up right here. We can actually drag and make it as smaller as we want, something like this. The next thing I'm going to do is just to make sure I turn off the title I have for it. The title should be turned off. So now we can adjust it as small as we want. So here we keep this right somewhere around here. And the same thing I've done is what I'm going to do to this very one as well. So click on this one, and over here on this one, okay, this is the one we can use. We cannot use any other one, so we're going to go with this particular one right here. Just keep it the way it is right here right now. And for this one, we want to actually use the same thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and stretch this right here, and let's go over to the newer slicer. Scroll down, and we pick this. So we want to make sure we go to the same thing, and single is 3, so everything shows up. We turn off the title. So now we have this. So here is just part of our rough works, so don't worry in case things are not really good the way we want it. So the next thing is that we have this particular horizontal slide which we don't really want. So the next thing we're going to do right now is to click over here and adjust things. So let's some kind of taking off the totals we have here. So we remove totals from here as well. Take off totals from here, and over here we just want to have deals value. Double click to remove the totals from here. Okay, so we have this to play around with. The next thing is for we to actually adjust what we have here. So let's go for the header. So for the header, we want to select something very bold. Let's go with this very one here, bold enough to show up. We can put it on 11. Okay, that is cool. Then for the value, we want to do something. Let's go ahead and increase the value a little bit. So the value looks nice, but it's actually reflecting this back again, this particular one. So we can just move it back. And the next thing is for we to actually go over to the total right here and turn off the total, which makes this one to disappear. This is exactly what we want to actually have, right? So let us select this one and go to the select and select this one alone. So if you hold your control key, as you can see, nothing is working. It's not doing multi-select for us. Let's go to slider settings right here, selection, and we actually use this particular. So to have multi-selection, what is selected here is actually a single selection. What you need to do is to make sure you deselect it. Don't allow this one. So if you now hold your control key, it will allow you to actually select multiple. The same thing happens right here. The selection is not actually going to work until you actually deactivated what you have right here. Don't have this, otherwise it wouldn't allow you to multi-select. So this is exactly what we want. So now we are almost set for our design. Let me take this one down a little bit, and I'm going to click on this very one here and just move it down here just a bit. So what does this tell us? This tells us that we are ready to actually create our background for this particular project. So which means we are actually at the far end of it. So let's do it. Right, before we start, let me help you activate your dark mode and make it look just like what you have right now on your screen. Go over to File here and click on Options and Settings, then click on Options. Once you're here, just go to Report Settings, right? Then you make sure you have this particular personalization and choose the dark mode from the list you have right here. In case you do not have personalization, you have to make sure you update your Power BI to the current version. And once you have done that, let's go over to this particular part and click on this particular wallpaper and choose dark here. That is what you need. Then choose the filter panel here and make sure this one is actually on black. So here we go. That is all you need to do, and you're gonna have something like this. That is only if you like dark mode. I always love to keep my softwares on dark mode, even the Excel version I am using. Okay, the next thing you have to do right now is just to make sure you do the Windows key, Shift key, and the S key. That will give you the privilege to actually take a screenshot of what you have right here in the white part of it, and just take the screenshot like this. Once you have done this, the next thing you have to do right now is to open up your PowerPoint. I have my PowerPoint opened right here. All I'm just going to do is to actually delete everything I have right in here. Then go ahead and actually paste this down here. All right, I'm going to duplicate this. So over here, I'm going to delete this one for the time being. So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to make sure I change the color of this particular canvas here. So let's go over here. You can drag it to anywhere you like to give more space to actually look at what you're doing. All right, we want to make sure we select this, and here we go. We can change the color to anything we like, but we don't want this particular kind of color. Let us go to the gradient fill, and over here, all we want is 3 stops, so we can delete one and keep one in the center, just like this. Let us work with this particular one first. So what we're going to do now is to actually make sure we actually come over here and we go to more colors. There are several ways to actually change the colors you have right here. You can use the RGB or you can use the hex code. So for the RGB right here, I'm going to make this one 9 and this one should be 16. And this over here, let us use 35. As you can see, we have something like this. For the middle one, let us click on it and go over here again. Go to more colors. We want to make sure this one is 6. Then we use this one to be 21 and this one should be 42. Right? So if you want to use the hex code, this is the hex code to this same color we have right here. Now we have to do for this one, we click over here and we click this. So over here we're going to do 9 and we do 37, and finally we're going to do 51. So if you look at it, we have some dark version and some light version. You can change the direction to what you really like. So to change the direction now, you come over here and there are several directions here. Can you see? It's changing. You might not see it, it might not be visible to you, but if you actually create it yourself, you will see that there is some kind of differences, right? So it depends on the direction you really want. So I'm going to actually make sure this particular part here comes to this particular part right here. So to do that, you select the one that has that direction. So I think we can go with something like this. So we have switched this particular bright version here and we have the dark version right here, right? Okay, once I've gotten this, the next thing now is to actually get a card. So let's go with this particular type of card here and drag our card down here. So for this very card here, let's go. So for this card, let's go over to shape format and we come over here. We want to make sure this one is actually 3.39 and this one should be 7. So here we go. We have something like this. So once we have this, we have to duplicate this into 2. And we have the second one here. Hold Control to select both of them and say no line to them. So let me change the color of this one to something like, come in here, use normal color. Let's go to more color. So over here, we're going to change the color to 54. And we do 233. And finally, we do 2, 4, and 2. So which is 242. So this is the color we have just gotten. Now we have this particular color right here. And for this one, we have to make sure we choose a different color that will actually pop out from our background as well. So to do that now, let's go over here and click on more. And over here, I'm going to select this particular part. So let's go with 11. So we go with 29 and finally we go with 67. So here we go. So you can see it pops out from here. But this is not actually what we really want. So now I'm going to go over to here and get a circle and drag the circle over here. Something like this, right? So once I have something like this here, okay, I think I'll keep this one to be just like this and I'll do it over this very one here. So what I'm going to do right now, let me show you in detail. So what I'm going to do is just to keep this one over here, right? So let me see. Okay, this is fine. So once I have this over here right now, so what I'm going to do is just to select this one below and hold my control key to select the one above it. Let's go to merge shapes and go to extract. And we have something like this, right? So what I'm going to do now is just to place this one over here, right? So I'm going to hold my control key and let's do it from this particular part here. Now hold your control key and hold align. So align center, align middle, and align to the right hand corner. Can you see? So you have equal alignment right now. The next thing you want to do is just to make sure you select all of them and right click and you click on group and you have it grouped. Then it's going to give you something like this. Can you see this right now? So this is what you actually have, and this is what we're going to use to actually get what we want to do done. Okay, so right now we have to make sure we have this into 4 places, right? So we want to have it into 4 places and add some background and some icons on it. So control D to duplicate, keep this one over here, and this is what we have. So you can actually go ahead and move this over here. Once we have this over here, hold your control key to select all of them and you right click and okay, we can do it over here. You go to shape format and you align and distribute horizontally and you align to the top, so you have equal alignment for them. If you open your folder, you can see we have some icons inside the folder. So go ahead and use that icon and actually make sure this looks great. As you can see, I have added my icons. So go ahead and actually place your icons just the way I have it right now. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to actually add some couple of cards in here. So let's see what cards we're going to add. So let's go ahead and actually add this card over here. Is my first card here, and I'm going to duplicate it and have another one over here. Then we have to change the size that we want to use. So this time around, we can actually bring in our image because we cannot really guess it. So we can guess this one and make it right a bit, but for this one, we have to bring in this. So I'm going to get this one, Ctrl X, now Ctrl V to paste it here and resize it to actually fit this particular part. So now we just have to fill it in. Once we have filled it in, we can send this to back. So if there is any adjustment, we can actually do the adjustment here, right? So maybe you want to do an adjustment, you can just shift things around. Can you see the way it should be? Okay, now we have this here. It's time for we to actually get this and make sure we some kind of drag it to fill up this particular place like this. So once we have gotten this done, we duplicate this one and we'll bring it all over here. And we actually go ahead and drag it to this end. This is what we really want to actually have, just like this, right? So the next thing again I'm going to have is just for me to, we don't need to, that one we don't need to keep this one here to get it done. Now I can delete this one from here. It has given us a guide to actually create something like this, right? So once we have this, we have to change its color. Let's click on it and right click, bring up this. So over here, we're going to use the gradient fill like this, but we're going to use the dark color. So let's go over here and scroll a little bit down, choose the dark version. Can you see now? This particular part pops just like this. So for the outline here looks too much. So we want to go ahead and affect the outline. Let's go for the outline. We want to go ahead and use something like this. Let's try this. So this is cool, but not really cool like what we are looking forward to seeing. So let's go with something a bit darker. Okay, I think this one might look some kind of perfect, right? So we can actually do this and give it to this one. And over here, I might want to make this one a bit darker. So what I'm going to do is just to move this one and just play around with what you have here by having the dark version of it anywhere you really want to have it. So it's all a choice. Just play around with what you have in here until you have what you want, right? Something like this would be cool. So we have those two cards here that makes it to look pop. So the last I'm going to do is just to click over here and drag this one down. So once I've gotten what I wanted, I'm just going to keep it like this and turn this to white. Let's go ahead and say no outline. Then I can just do Ctrl D, duplicate it and keep this over here. Ctrl D again and edit it into 4. So I'm going to select all of them and come over here to give the color I really want. I don't want something too bright, so let's go with this particular kind of color. And let's come over here and align to the left and distribute vertically. So once we have done that, the next thing we do is to right click and click on group. We have this grouped. This is what we have. We can keep this here to actually use it for our filter. So here we go. We have this right here. This is all we need to do for this first time. And the next thing we have to do right now is to make sure we export this into where we're going to use it. So I already have the one I have exported. I'm going to use that one. It's the same thing with this one. I've just shown you how to actually create this. So we're going to come back here to create one more. But for now, we are done with this. Okay, we're right here. Oh, I think to those of you who are just starting for the first time, let me show you how to export it really. So go over to File and go to Export and click over Change File. You can export with PNG or JPEG. All you do is just to double click and save it anywhere you want to have it saved in with this PNG. That is all you need to do. Okay, we are back right here. The next thing we need to do right now is to actually open up this particular part right here, which is canvas background, and make sure you click on browse. From browse, we have to go to the background we want to use. So here we go. We have this particular background here at 0%. If you put it at 100%, you wouldn't see it. So put it at 0% like this. The next thing we have to do is to make sure we actually transform this and make sure there is no background on it so that it will pop out the way we really want it to actually work. So what do? It is time for we to do the formatting. So let's quickly go over to our formatting here and select the card and go down and turn off the background of our card. So there should be no border as well. That is not affecting our card yet. Let's go over to the top and select this particular one here, which is size and style, and turn off the background. That works for some part. Okay, the next thing we do is just to go to the callout value here, and for the callout value, we're going to put it on this color. That works, right? So let's scroll back up and turn off this. We want to go for the reference and scroll the way down. So for the reference, we want to change the color to this color here. So now the background should be turned off. Can you see? Now we go for the value. We just make sure we actually put the value up. Okay, for the value right now, the value, we are going to determine what value we have based on whatever we select. You understand? So based on whatever we select from here, that will determine the color we have for the value. So when the value is actually positive, we want to see this particular color. When the value is negative, we want to see red color. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. So we are right here on our PowerPoint. I can just go ahead and copy this color code from here. So we are on here now. Let's go over here. So we go to more colors. We actually go ahead and copy this particular color code from here. So let's go back. So we are here. So we have to actually, affect the, let's go over to this part. So now we are on total calls. Let's go ahead and open up total calls. So here's total calls. We go for the conditional formatting. It's always CF total calls here. So where we have this particular green, instead of us seeing green, we want to see this color. And if I hit my enter key right now, that will give me the color right here. Let's go ahead and find out if that is true. So now can you see it? This is how I got this color. So you can update every part of it just like that. So always look for the CF. If you have done the same thing I've done, that will be very easy for you to find. So you paste this right here, you update it. I think we have almost 4 measures to be updated like this. So we go to this particular deal values right here. We look for this CF. So we update this particular part. And finally, we want to do the same thing to the call reached. So the calls reached here, the CF, we do the same thing to it. So go ahead and update it. Okay, this is all we need to do. Let's go back and actually see how we can actually get the correct formatting for our background. Also our cards. So now what we need to do now is to actually update the total calls right here and make it pop. So what we need to do is to go to this particular callout value and scroll down here until you see label. Then open it up, open the label up. Once you have it opened up, so come over here and choose the color you really want to have for it. So not something very, bright. So we can just give a space between this and this. You can do it right here. You can increase the font. So maybe you want to choose something as bold as this. We are putting it at 14 right now. So we are done with everything we want to do right on this one. Let's see if we can copy the same thing to others. 100% worked, but not 100%. At least at let us give it maybe like 20% or sorry, 40 to 50%. Okay, because some values are not showing up right now, and we need to do for that. Okay, what this does is to even remove those values, so it can work. So I'm going to actually Ctrl Z to bring it back to normal, then we are going to do it one after the other for we need to actually get off some things we don't need to delete right here. So I'm going to do this behind the scene, then we come back and we meet again. All right, let us actually focus on this particular part as we have done the formatting from the top one here. The next thing I'm going to do is to go over to size and style and make sure you put it up, then scroll down a little bit to actually get everything off right there. So once you have done this, the next thing you have to do right now is to make sure you change the color of the bars and as well the title, sorry, the data label and as well the x-axis. So let's do it. So if we scroll down here, we can now see column. And from this column, we have to select what we want. So we are not seeing anything because we are seeing just weekdays right here. This is not what we want. So let's go back up again and be sure of what we clicked on. Okay, let me just multi-select all of this. I now have all of them under selection right now. Make sure this one is clicked on so we can scroll the way down a little bit and find this particular part here. Now you can find all of this here instead of you seeing the weekdays that we actually have before. So click on total calls and give it a particular color you really want. So for total calls, we are going to go over here, go to more, and we can decide to fill this particular RGB or we fill this one, right? So let's go with this 0 E88, you know, A E right here. This is going to give us this kind of blue, and we're going to go with this. Let's change that. Then we can change this to the call reached. So for call reached, we have to select a version of the color that is related to the same color we have just selected right now. Then we're going to be doing 36E, which is 36, E, and we do 9F2, 9F and 2. This is the color we want to use. Now we select for the deal closed right here. So we go to more colors. So for deal closed, let's go with something like 58, 5852, and we can do 45. Something like this would be cool. All right. Now finally, we want to do for deal value here. The deal value here, I want to select something that is nearer to blue, like this one would be cool for my deal value, right? So this wouldn't take any effect right now until we select individual, one. So let us deselect everything from here. So we are onto the deal values right now. If I switch it to this particular one now, can you see? So select this one. You see different colors. So if I select both of them, can you see what we have? Total calls, deal closed. This is going to give us this. This is how you can change the color to make it, varies. The next thing we have to work with the legend and the title. So let's go over to here. First of all, the title, we open it up and we go over here, make sure we give it the color. That is cool. So next again is for we to work with the legend. Let us locate the legend and make sure the legend pops a lot. So there should be no title for the legend. Let's go to the text. We're going to change the color to look presentable. Nicely done. So we can just increase it a little bit. Something like this will be okay. It pops a lot, right? So we have to deal with the x-axis, which is something very important. The x-axis here, we just change its color to this, and we can make it pop as well. So finally, we're done from here right now. This is looking very good already. So let's just work with this particular top right here. It's very important to do something about this one right here. So what I want now is to go back here. So when we are here, we want to copy the color, this particular color here. Click over here and let's copy this very color, this version of the color. We go here and copy this. So once you have copied it, let's go back. So now that we are here now, the very first thing I'm going to do is just to go over here and turn off the background, right? So we want to deal with the card that we have. So let's go for the button. So for the buttons here, at default, we want to change the fill color. There should be no border. Now we want to change the fill color at default. We're using the color we copied in here. That is the default color we want to see. So now we want to select the color we want to see on selection. When there is a selection, we want to see a specific color for what is being selected. So for what is being selected now, you have to go over here. Instead of default, you click on selected. So when something is selected, what color do you want to see? Can we see this particular color? When there is selection, those two that are selected now shows up on this color, right? Now let us deal with font. The default font, let's put it at default. So let's go down to where we can see the text. I think it's not here. We are going to deal with that over the colored value. For default colored value, we want to see this particular bright, not too bright, something like this would be cool. So this is what you can do to make it look much more cool. So when only one is selected, we only see this particular one highlighted, and the rest looks like this. So we can do the same thing to this very one as well. Click on this one. This is what we have. Can you see it now? This is how you can actually create something like this. The next thing we have to do now is to actually do format this one. To format this one now, the very first thing we have to do is to make sure we say no background to it, right? So quickly we go to the value area. Let's go to the value area. So here's our value area here, and over here we want to go for the background. We want to just give it the same background I've copied, and go to the alternate background here and do the same thing to it. So once we have done this now, the next thing is for we to go to the callouts, the text rather. The text, I'm going to have a brighter version. Let's go the brighter version, and we have the one that is not that bright. Something like this will be cool. Let's go with something like this. Okay, this makes it look much more better to look at. Once we have gotten this done, we have to deal with the header. Let's go for the header first before we further format what we are seeing. So here we go. For the header, we want to make sure the header is giving us the same exact color. So paste this one in. Oh, what did I do? This is not working for the header. Let's deselect it. Select the table. Scroll down. Column header here. Oh, this is for text. So we are choosing this for text. For text, we should use white color, something brighter to be used. So for this one here, we want to choose this particular color. This is gonna stand out, right? Okay, if you look at it, we have some lines on it. So that is not bad. So all we have to do is to go to this particular grid here and make sure this one is something a bit darker like this, and we want to make sure we increase it like this. So once we have done this now, the next thing we have to do is to actually scroll down to see if we can actually do a transparency. We can't, so we have to look for something that is a bit softer than what we have here. Let's go with this and see. Just randomly check out what you can do to have something closer to the background that you have. What you can do is to select the background itself. Once you have done that, let's go back to it again and click on more colors. Then we select a different variation of the color that can pop. Exactly. Can you see it now? You can just move this a bit. Now we want to create something like this effect we have right here. Can you see it? So we have this blue. If you don't want to have that blue right there, what you can do is to go to border, and let's scroll down, and over here you can make sure the border gives you the same exact thing right here. So if you still want to keep the border and make sure it's some kind of giving you something that separates them, let's select this dark version of it. This is good. This is good. Can you see it now? This is what we want to have, and this looks good already. So we want to create a filter that filters it. How? So we want to actually create a filter to identify the person with the high value volumes of deals, low volumes of deals, and those ones that has no deals at all. We want to create that. Mind you, this one is not yet completed. Let's go back here, and this time around we want to actually look for data label. Scroll down. Let's change the data label for all. We'll go for the value here, and we go ahead and choose something that pops out. Very well. So we can increase the font if need be. So it's your choice. So whatever you want. So let us quickly go back over here and click on the data set that we have here. So while we are here, as you can see, we have a data set here, and it's not really huge data. It's just 1065 rows and just a few columns. So we want to add a new column right now. We call it calculated column. So we just say new column. So now we have our column here. So what we want to do right now is that we want to actually segment our agents. So what we're going to do is just to actually click on the deal groups. So deal group. So over here we're going to be using the switch function. You can use the if function to do this as well. Switch through, comma. And what I'm going to do is just to actually look at this. The deal closed right here. So when deal closed is actually equals to 0, which means there is no deal. So I'm going to do deal. So the deal closed would have the table names as part of it. Look at it right here. So once you have this, you're going to ask if this is actually equals to 0. Then what we want to have is actually no deals. We close and we actually come over here again. So you can actually do this by copying this particular part, Ctrl C, and you come over here, you Ctrl V, and finally you do Ctrl V. So what we're going to do is just to actually say this one here, deals. So that means if this one is actually greater than or equal to 10, that is low. So when this one here is actually greater than 10, so we want to call this one. So can you see it right now? This is all you need to do. Where are we having that error? Let's remove this one from here. We still have an error again. We want to have a comma here, and that will actually get it off for us. So for the otherwise now, you can say otherwise, just give us blank. If you want to put that, it's optional. So you don't need that truly. So we have it. We can check it out to see what we have sitting here. So we have blank. So where is this blank coming from? The blank. Instead of an equal sign here, I'm using a minus. That was where the blanks came from. So can you see everything now becomes normal? We have high volumes deals, we have the low, and we have this. So let us remove the S from here. So my bad, please. So we have deals. We don't need to have volumes again. So now we want to go over to this particular part. Or still, you can actually get this one duplicated. Ctrl C and Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste. All we need to change is this particular part. We go over to data and we pick it up from here. This is what we have here. We can just move it and have it somewhere around here. So adjust it to fill this place up. Can you see it right now? So because there are no deals now, can you see what we have? This is blank. When we click on this one, we are going to have values. Deals closed. When there are no deals, it will give us blank. That is what it is, to give us blank like this, because there are no deals for every person's here, but there are calls. But those calls did not convert to deals. That is what I'm talking about. You get it right now. All right, the next thing right now is to actually add some couple of slicers. And how do you do that? Let's do it. We have to go back to our PowerPoint over here. So over here, I'm going to double this and make it this way. So what if I actually go ahead and just Ctrl X to bring this over here to actually get it done? So we have this, we can see it. Here we go. So we have something like this. Let's change the color a bit. I can decide to just use two steps. So one here, and this one here should have its color different. Let me go with this color, and I change the color to be some kind of the dark version of it. Okay, so once we have this, we can change the position like this, right? So we want to make sure this one takes over a good portion of it. You can add one so that you can actually get this effect right here. All right, once done, let's go ahead and duplicate this one. Over here, I'm gonna do no gradients. So I want to go with this particular color. Then I'm gonna remove the outline from it, and even this one, there should be no outline for it. So once we have this now, I'm gonna bring this one to the top. Just keep this one like this. This is what we want to have, something like this. Can you see it right now? So once we have gotten this done, the next thing I'm going to do is just to go over here. Keep this one somewhere around here. And the roundness should be adjusted. We want to do something like this. So making it to actually look dynamic will be done when we get to Power BI. So but right now we just see no fill, and the outline should be visible enough. Let's go with this color. Something like this would be cool, right? So once we are done, you can just select all of them like this. Right click and go ahead and group. So right now you want to save this as what? Save it. Can you say save as picture? You can save it as picture anywhere you like. Let's go over to this download and save this as picture. Just picture one will be okay. Or we can just call this one filter panel. So it's on download. Go ahead and save. So we are back here right now. We have to pick it up. So the way we pick it up right now should be through insert, and we insert an image. Go to download and actually get the image from here. So this is how smallish it will look like. So it is time for we to actually make it bigger than what we see. Just if you bring it here now, it stops here. What can you do? You just make sure you compress it this way, right? So this is what you have like this, and keep it somewhere around here. All right, can you see it now? So the next thing we're going to do right now is to actually add some couple of sliders to this particular one here. So let's go over here, and the first slider I'm going to add is actually going to here and bring the full name. So full name here, and make sure you actually convert this to this particular type of slicer. So once we have this, we want to go over here and change this to a drop down instead. So we have drop down. We can just make it something like this and bring it somewhere around here. So the next thing now is for me to go ahead and click on insert, go to text box. Inside here, let us type in so call center dashboard, highlight it, Ctrl A, and increase it. So let's go ahead and do this thing like this. Go ahead and reduce this, and let's keep this somewhere around here. So this is where it belongs, and Ctrl A again. Let's convert this to this color. So over here, I'm going to go to this particular part and make sure I am using this to turn the background off, right? So the color is too bright still. Let's go ahead and use this one. Okay, fair enough. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. Ctrl C and Ctrl V. On this one, I'm going to write select filter. So maybe my select is not good enough. Keep this over here. So Ctrl A to reduce this. Instead of 30, let's see something like 16, how it looks. So too small. Let's go with 20. Just keep on doing this. So here we go. We have something like this. So what color can pop out right here? I think it's going to be a dark color. Let's choose a black color like this. This will pop a lot. So we're going to keep it right here. So right now we have this. The next thing we have to do right now is to make sure we some kind of select every object we have here. So down to this very one, this one, this one, and this one. But it's not yet done. We actually left something out. So what we can do now is to actually go over to insert, and now we click over buttons, and let's select a blank one like this one here. So we take it up to this part. So we can just adjust things like this, right? So we now come over to the button style here, and the default one shouldn't have border on it. There should be no border. So we're gonna add text to it. Click over here and add text to just say close. So with our close here is not visible, we have to make sure we make it look visible enough to people. So now we push it in the middle. So just adjust it until it sits in the center of this. So I can just reduce it a little bit. That is at default. So when there is selection, at default now, let us change the color first. So at default, the color should be this. So when there is selection, at default, yes, when there is hover rather, on hover, we want to actually make sure the color changes to red. Something like this. Can you see it now? So, and we want to increase it so that to add more effect to it. Can you see? When you step in, you have it, zoom close. Can you see? Zoom on and off. Can you see it now? This is what we have. So it is time for you to select everything that we have right here, right now. Select this first. Hold your control to select every object inside this particular box, including this one. So select the box itself or the panel itself. Once we have done this now, let's go over to here, this part. And now this is everything here. What we can do is to right click and group. So once we have grouped, we can call this one filter. So we can call it filter. So this is all we need to do. So this filter now, if I actually do this, is hidden. If I do this, is back. You get it? So now we're going to use this to actually show how we hide it and show it back. So let's do it. Over here we have a bookmark which we can bring up. So on this bookmark here, we have to create some couple of things. First of all, make sure this one is actually selected like this, and add a bookmark. Double click on it and click on open. Just say open. So type open. Once you do open, let's see what we're gonna do. So for open here, once you click on these three dots, you want to come here and uncheck this one. Come over here and uncheck this particular current. So you go over here and you make sure this one is actually checked. Let's go ahead and update, right? So have it hidden and make sure once you have it hidden, it is still selected. This filter is selected, right? You click on add and this one will tell you close. So once you say close, you do the same thing to this very one here. You actually come over here, uncheck this, and come over here for the display. We want to leave it, and for the current page, we uncheck it. And over here, we check this one. We can go ahead and actually have this updated. So let's see if it is working. Can you see? it works 100%. You see that right now? Okay, now this is working. We can have all of this hidden and bring this up. So over here, we want to go ahead and actually add the same thing. Go to buttons and add the blank one. The blank one should actually cover this particular part here, because this is where we want to click to actually have it open. Make sure it covers everywhere here. And let's go to this particular button style and scroll all the way down to actually turn off the background. We don't need to write anything on it. So if I click over it right now, it's going to give me something around here that says action. So click on action, have it turned on, open it up, and let us step into this particular action to see what is going on there. Inside action, we actually have this particular part where you can click and select what you want. So we want bookmark. So with the bookmark, it's going to give you some options here. We want to actually have this opened. So hold your control key to actually follow the link here. Now it has been opened. To close now, you can double click on this one for you to see the action. Double click to activate this alone. Then the action is here. If we scroll down, we can see the action. We turn it on and we go ahead and go to bookmark rather. So once we actually bring up bookmark, this time around, we're going to check this one here that says close, which is this very one, close here. Then to close it now, hold your control key and click on it and it closes it for you. Can you see this right now?